Good evening, everyone. If it's evening where you are, it's Lawrence here, Rome Mosaic Workshops, and coming back on now live. I just wanted to give you all a bit of an update and just finish that off. I'm going to be going through the picture you can see on the right of the screen, which is a double-strand guilloche, just setting that, the basic principles of setting that as a square. I'm just checking on the other monitor that I'm actually coming up and seeing if I'm there. Oh, yep, I'm there. Excuse me. Yep, and you can hear me as well. Right. Okay. Let me just turn that off. Okay. Right. As I said, just finished the one while ago. Finished the large commission we've been working on. So that took up an enormous amount of time. There's still a lot of catching up to do with that, but the aim is now for the next 12 months. We're going to be focusing mainly on the geometric patterns. But we'll still, every 6 weeks, we can have a full week on the figures, and there will be other things with them, so that they're not being pushed out completely. I've got the first of 4 sets of workshops. The ones up in Edinburgh, which I think is 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of April. And the format of those basically is day 1 will be a seminar, really just the drawing exercises, going through, deciphering geometric patterns, resizing, redrawing, and just really a sort of just looking at the examples, looking at how you can break them down. So if you see them, you can get an idea at least of how they're put together. After that, there will be a smaller sort of 8 to 10 people full workshop where, again, we go deeper into the drawing side and how to plan out a mosaic if you were, say, doing one for an installation or in your home. 3rd day, another workshop, 8 to 10 people, where you'll actually make a mosaic, and what that is just making the mosaic without drawing out the pattern. So it's using the staff, so it's not actually using the geometry, it's understanding the pattern and then being able to create the mosaic from there, which is one way that I feel that they actually did work, because it's a lot quicker and a lot easier. So you don't have to do, if you're there, you don't have to do all of them. You can do one part. The seminar will obviously be a lot more people. You can pick one and just do that one in isolation, and that will be fine. We will be filming the seminar and do some filming of the workshops as well. So we'll be creating a program for that. So if you're not able to get there, there will be a way for you to be able to take part as well and to see. So they're still confirming the we've got the dates for the first one, confirming the workshop locations, and then the other one's going to be we're hoping in Manchester. Then there's going to be one in London, and then somewhere down the south of England. So really, they're sort of like spreading the year up into those 4 quarters. 2023, we'll be going deep dive into figures, into portraits, but again, specifically just about Roman mosaics. So if you have any questions, keep an eye out. Their details will be coming out. I've got the course, which is just about to be released, of the geometric pattern course, of all the things that we will be covering on these workshops. The actual online courses are coming out. I've just got to iron out some software bugs on those, because I've changed over to a complete new host and had to redo all the lot. So the videos are being redone as well for it, but that will be any day now. So say any questions, let me know. I was saying that I'd aim to be live 3 days a week. More practically, it might be 2, but I'm going to fix the days and the time so you know when I'm actually going to be on. And once it is a bit more regular, hopefully we'll have more people. posting questions, posting comments, anything really that you want to know about what we're covering. And yes, I will do some Zoom ones. It's just, again, it's sorting out the software so that there's no problems, and sorting out what people want to do. I will be doing some where I've filmed the process of the mosaic, so I've got to redo the ones that I've already done, and then I will just have the screen record going, so it's not like 8 hours, it's just sort of 2, but then you can just follow along the whole process. Okay, so let's just have a look at this. This is just to give you the rough idea of setting out something like this, and in the coming months we are going to be more practically based as into how you can create these mosaics if you were installing, or if you wanted to have them create your own for your home. So it's going to be very much a practical application of learning the drawing out and learning the different geometry and the different patterns. So this is a pattern, double-strand guilloche, two strands of mosaic woven together, and putting this out onto a square. This is what we want to achieve. We're going to be neater than theirs. You can see some quite scruffy examples, but just because of our education, because of our modern life, we're real neat freaks compared to the Romans. And so any of these strand borders, typically the guilloche ones, if you're doing them on a square or a circle or anything that they come round on themselves, if it's a double, it needs to be in multiples of 2. It needs to be an even number. This is because, by I say multiples of 2, if you can see my, no, you can't see my mouse on there. If you look at the top line, if you count across the top, but not both corners, so one corner left side is 1, 2, 3, 4. So that means there's 4, 8, 12, 16. There's 16 individual pattern repeats around the whole thing. Divide that by 8, so we know that it can be a double strand one, because if it's an odd number, it means that you've got one strand turning back on itself. So each thing to remember is, just if you're doing these these strand patterns, it needs to be the total number needs to be pretty much in multiples of what it is, whether it's 3 strand, 4 strand. So 3 strand, you want 30, 33, 36, 39, 4 strand, 40, 44, 48, and so on like that. Otherwise, you can end up with one strand that turns back on itself, and you won't realize that until you start setting the colors in there, because we're going to do the black lines first. Once you set the colors, you'll realize that the strand is just turning back on itself. So if we can go back on this, let's get up to the first. So as you can see here, double strand on a square, standard setting out. I've got the 4 lines, horizontal, vertical, 2 diagonal, and I need to decide, this is where you decide your external measurements. So what's the maximum size it can be? And then that is B. That is measurement B. That's the maximum size. A to B is the width, or I've written it there as C. C is the width of the actual border itself. So on another one, we're going to go through how you actually calculate putting this into a room, but this is just on a small area, and just to give you an idea of what measurements you need to know. So you need to know the maximum, then your internal line, which is C, is the width of the actual mosaic. Get that up, and there. Now, this is really important for these mosaics for these patterns to turn the corner. The single white center tesserae on them has to be on the 45 degree line from the corners. So basically what you've got on all four corners, you draw a 45 degree line going inside. Now the pattern, the single white center tesserae on those patterns has to turn on those lines. So this is where you're going to move the pattern in or out to make it fit, but it must turn on that. That's what we're going to go through when I do the one about setting this in a room. And then, as you can see, we've got an equal distance. This gives an equal distance between all four. Let's go down. And what I mean is, if we just take this up to the corner, you see this is the plait pattern, and you can see the single tesserae in the middle that the plaits actually go round. Those are the ones, these you can see on this corner, this one on the corner has to sit on that 45 degree line. Let's just get that along. So that is back to the corner with all four in place, and you could see how your outer and your inner lines are according to the width of the pattern, and the single white center tesserae at each corners sit on that 45 degree line. Now, if it's a hexagon or octagon, obviously you can change it, but that really is just to give you a quick idea of what sort of thing we're looking at when you're setting that. And as you can see there, basic principle, basic guide for any of the patterns that you do, the patterns that you're trying to decipher, set those four lines, and then you can work everything out from there. But with setting these patterns, it's really important to remember this. The dimensions of the mosaic are determined by the mosaic, not where you want it to go. So this is why you can't have, you go into a room, say you wanted to set this pattern going right round the edge of your room, even if your room is perfectly square, sometimes you can't. Sometimes you're going to have to move it slightly in, otherwise the pattern won't set correctly. So the dimensions of the mosaic are determined by the mosaic, determined by the pattern that's being used, not by the room that you wanted to go into. Okay, so just a quick one there. I'd find that useful. As I say, we're going to go in through and put this in as how you'd set this out in a room, just so it makes a little bit more sense. So any questions, please let me know, and I'm hoping that we will be here on a more regular basis now, going through into the new year, and I would love to see some of you on the workshops, whether in person or online. So thanks very much.